Well, it's Tuesday, December the 9th, 2025. Good morning and welcome. I'm Kayode Okikelu.
Welcome to your perfect morning starter on Channels Television. It's good to be back. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. It's bright and early right here, and it's December. I'll keep reminding you so that you get your acts together, if you will, as the year wraps up. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Guys,
I must say that I'm not exactly feeling that Christmas spirit just yet. I don't know if we're waiting till December the 24th before we bring out the decorations, or we have finally Nigerianized Christmas.
what does that mean?
Thank you very much for that good question. You see, over the years, there are those people who have complained that Christmas is overly westernized. The Christmas trees, the mistletoe. So the only thing we don't try to copy is the snow. But we've seen some people also copy it with powder and the rest. So there's been that move, or at least that advocacy by those people, that let's have a Nigerian kind of Christmas. Rather than have, the Christmas tree, how about we do something that is relatable to us in Nigeria? So there's been that conversation for a long time. So I don't know if that's what's happening, or, bless you, Jeffrey, or it's the state of the economy. People are like, you know what, let's focus on the basics. Christmas is sort of luxury, or at least the Christmas decorations. It's luxury, so let's allow all the banks, the big corporates decorate our streets, leave our houses. We'll just sweep, mop, and clean it and arrange it as it ought to be. Then we'll wait for December the 25th, where we'll eat our jollof rice, chicken, turkey, fish, what have you. So those are my theories this morning, but I must say that I don't quite feel it yet. The only Christmas in this room is Bukola with the red jacket she's wearing.
You had to go there. But you were already talking about the Nigerian element in Christmas. When we were growing up, beyond the Christmas trees and the Western imports of gifts under the tree, there were no gifts under the tree in our time, by the way. Bro. But we got our gifts, in Christmas clothes and in wash night service, what we call wash night service, the night before Christmas, and, fireworks.
Right.
Those were the Nigerian elements. Banga. Thank you. Long. Please translate for me.
You said it.
The light of God. A brand of banga, when we're growing up. So that's the Nigerian element of Christmas, and I doubt that has left us. And of course, don't forget Nigerian jollof. You can't leave that out of Christmas.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Dirty December, by the way, is taking shape, already.
So maybe that's how we have replaced the Western, because Dirty December started last weekend. And it's, Jeffrey, Bukola, it might be a very dirty December in Lagos. Very dirty one.
Now, some people are saying it may not be as dirty as it used to be, but
it started, you don't get, it started last weekend.
I understand
there
there
are lots of
events this December alone. I know some states have literally, like Akwa Ibom, Cross River, they have this whole month of different local government coming to do what and all of that. And then we have Lagos, you don't need special day for anything. Every day is something. So in one day there could be like 5, 6, 7 events happening around. Depends on how much is in your pocket to be able to afford. Some is affordable, some is out of reach for a lot of people. So whichever works for you, just go there, have as much fun, and enjoy yourself as much as possible with your family. But don't kill yourself.
And some of those events are overpriced.
Yes. Say it.
Someone has to say it.
Yeah, they're overpriced.
But really, what is the definition of overpriced?
I don't want to say overpriced.
I know Bukola is saying what is in the mind of a lot of people. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
But again, we have to balance it. What's overpriced?
But then again, what is curious for me is how some of those events are packed full with a lot of Nigerians who are out to celebrate.
It's not overpriced.
You're not their market.
You're not their target audience.
Perhaps the element is also of those who are Nigerians or coming from, the diaspora to celebrate Christmas back home, and they have all the money to spend. So maybe that explains why some of those events are packed full. But for Nigerians at home who are saying, T-Pain is too much. We've had too much of T-Pain in the last 2 years. I wonder if they're able to afford it. But if they're able to afford it, then there's a whole lot more money in the economy that we do not know about. But for me, those events are overpriced, Kayode.
Well, I don't totally agree that it's overpriced. Maybe you're not that target audience. The expectation is the fact that anyone I want to go, I will go because I would have planned for it.
Right.
So the idea of December and events is the fact that, yes, it could sound like overpriced, but I guess if you now do a show and nobody comes, next time you advise yourself. But because they are certain that people will show up, that's why they are doing what they are doing. So yeah, I just feel that maybe they feel, okay, this class of people, that's not my audience. I want to look at something else. I want to look at a set of people. So overpricing is relative. It depends on who you are talking to. So maybe people have saved the money, even the Nigerians you're complaining that don't have money.
Maybe they do have, right?
You see this Lagos, they will show up. If you go to clubs, you ask yourself, are we still, where are they getting these monies from?
Well, it's either the money is really there, or they've been saving the money for Dirty December from January.
Okay, away from Dirty December.
We're not doing Dirty December alone on the show today.
Well, it's in the air. I just wanted to mention it because we're counting down to Christmas. It's, 16 days now to Christmas. But something played out on Sunday, but a lot of people got wind of it yesterday. And we're going to show you the moment that First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu walked up to the Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke in Ile-Ife during an event marking the 10th coronation anniversary of Ooni of Ife, and she was actually conferred as well with the chieftaincy title of Yeye Ashiwaju of Ile Odua. But what got a lot of people talking was this moment when Governor Ademola Jackson Adeleke was about to speak, but he started off by singing. So she approached him and said, you know what, go straight to your speech, leave all this protocol, else, makmalemo, which in Yoruba means I'll move you away in that sense. So take a listen to what played out and we'll speak to it.
Which kind? Internal temperature.
So that played out on Sunday. Different angles to this. There are those who say, well, they are close friends, right? Senators, so they have their way of doing things. There are those who say, well, the governor is known to dance, sing at events, so this is not new. Why should anybody go ahead and do that? But the point is this, whether they are chummy or not behind the scenes, at that moment where he had the podium with the seal of Osun State, he was a governor. He still remains a governor until otherwise. So every respect that will go to him should be accorded to the office and not the person. And when I say respect or disrespect, you look at the office and you approach it that way. So it may have been in a jocular sense, okay, you're my person behind the scenes. But at that moment, that was the governor of Osun State about to give a speech. Whether or not he was singing or doing preambles is another thing entirely. And I think it just doesn't look good, leaves a very bad taste in the mouth. Again, as I said, it's been said that they are chummy behind the scenes, or maybe they are not. I really do not care. But that office should be respected, and I don't think that was right at all.
Jeffrey?
I'm just tired of disgraceful moments by officials. So for the records, she was the first lady. She was a first lady as governor when the husband was governor.
Was the first lady
of Lagos State. So she's built her profile as a senator in her own distinguished career as a senator. Multiple times she's been at the Senate, and now she's the first lady of the Republic. So 2 times first lady, first as a statesman, then a senator. So there's a lot that is expected of her in terms of conduct. As it is right now, I'm not a fan of First Lady office, whether it's in America or in Nigeria. I just feel that office is a waste of our resources. Whether it's a First Lady of a state, First Lady of a whatever First Lady. But it is what it is. It's a convention we accept her to. So she's not a public official. She's actually a public figure, because there's nothing in the Constitution that recognizes her office in any shape or form. I'm giving this legal background to even push further the point that Kayode has made. That's an elected governor of a state. He may be a very jovial, jolly good fellow, easygoing guy, but that doesn't mean you should take him for granted. What she did was beneath dignifying, and it is disrespectful. It demands an apology from her as the wife of the president to the office of a governor, because there's nothing in our law that recognizes our office. It's not just about her, it's about that office of First Lady. It's just a convention. But this is an elected government in Osun State, and she was in Osun State. Whether he was wasting time, I can understand maybe he wasn't reading the room well, she needed to leave, but there's a way to speak to someone in public. This is beneath dignifying. It's disgraceful to see what has just happened. We're not off the Wike Yerima issue, now this has played out, and this is not the first time. I remember the face-off between her and Elijah Abo during the sex toy incident. I remember what happened, I think, in the Senate plenary one time. Smart Adeyemi was speaking. I think she was asking him if I stand to be corrected about whether you in PDP now. So we could go on, and this is not good for Oluremi Tinubu, the wife of the president. I think if she knows what is right, and if she reflects on action, she should know she dropped the ball. She didn't conduct herself properly at that level as the wife of the president of the Federal Republic, to be able to walk up to a governor and speak to him just like you're speaking to a child. Well, what is going on with all of us here? What is happening to us as a people? This is beneath dignifying. And me, I will just say it as it is. These moments like this demands, I don't know whether it's going to be a public apology. Maybe there may be too much ego to say she apologized publicly. But no matter the relationship behind the scene she has, as Kayode has said, look at what is written there, seal of the governor of that state. She has more authority than him, even though she's the wife of the president. You understand? So I just feel that this is not good. We've spoken about...
No, he has more than her.
Sorry, he has more authority. That's what I wanted to say. My apologies. He has more authority than her at that moment. He could shut down that event, and nothing will happen. It will just be, oh, why would you do that? The wife of the president was there. That was just her. There's so much authority. That is why that seal is there. So it is not right for the wife of the president to conduct herself the way she did. And I think this should not happen again. Let's not see this display of lack of decorum by, she's not a public official, as a public figure in this sense, because this is unacceptable.
Well, I'm in a difficult position here. I don't know why I get the sense that I am in a difficult position, particularly because, you know, as wife of the president, she's also female, and you know, she's a symbol of female leadership in Nigeria, which is, you know, currently endangered. But regardless of that obvious fact, she's a high-impact woman. She was senator, even as first lady. You know, she brought on a difference to that office while she was first lady in Lagos State. You know, you cannot take from Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, you know, the strength of character that she brings to, you know, her duties as a professional. But there are exceptions, you know, obvious exceptions to the rule, particularly in that incident in Osun State. You know, one of the first things that came off of my mind was, okay, what is the ethos that's obtainable amongst, you know, politicians as they interact behind closed doors? Perhaps, you know, they can be, you know, chummy to an extent that could be misunderstood as you know, something inappropriate when it comes to public conduct, and maybe that was what was brought to the fore. But I had to do a double take on the event that was taking place, and I'm like, okay, this is taking place in Osun State, and Governor Adeleke is the host, the elected governor of Osun State. Even if Governor Jackson Adeleke was speaking in his capacity as governor in another event, and he held the microphone at that particular point in time, it behoved on whoever, was uncomfortable, at least to accord him that respect, to have his time with the microphone. So this was not particularly in bad taste. It doesn't matter if ideologically you're in different groups. He is in the PDP, by the way. He's on his way to another political party now. That's another matter entirely. We now have party-less governors. Maybe we'll be having that conversation later on. Even if he's not, approaching the APC, he's ideologically opposed to the APC, it really doesn't matter, whatever the differences are behind the scenes. He is an elected governor, and he reserves, the right to exercise the powers due to that office at that particular point in time. And this goes to everyone who holds, office in one capacity or the other, who may think that at that material time, they have that moment, they have the office, they are the ones in power, as we think in political parlance at this point in time, and then they can misuse the power in any way that they think they can. Power intoxicates, evidently, so we must exercise decorum every now and then, just a bit of discipline and observance of rules and principles guiding public conduct. And so Governor Adeleke deserves an apology for what transpired.
What is good is good. What is bad is bad. Absolutely. It's as clear as crystal.
Yeah. I think we all agree on that, whether or not they have a relationship. But I must say on the side, and I don't want this to cover the main issue, and that's why I didn't mention it at all. Governor Ademola Nuruddin Jackson Adeleke, great man, jovial person.
Jolly good fellow.
Jolly good fellow.
The dancing governor.
Yeah, but there are times that these things are too much. And I must say, for every public official in Nigeria, first you get late to events. Events are meant to start for 10 a.m. You're arriving at 12:31. I know there are times things happen, but it shouldn't be every time. So they come late, people are waiting, Nigerian citizens who elected them into office are waiting. Now, I'm not speaking to this in particular, but this is a trend I have seen. And then they give their speech. It's a lengthy speech. On the schedule, it says you're meant to speak for 10 minutes, right? But then you go on and end up speaking for 25 minutes, turn it into a mini campaign, say all sorts of things. We must do better with time management. We've always joked about African time, Nigerian time, but it must stop. If you're given 5 minutes, spend 5 minutes. Never mind that you are governor, president, senator, or what have you. Stick to time. Show discipline when you're right there, because you're not just representing yourself, you're representing the people. So perhaps this was what irked the First Lady. Her reaction was definitely not justified as a result of that. But maybe keep the singing for Thanksgiving events, keep the dancing as well for campaigns. When it's time to speak, let us go straight for it. So that is my takeaway as well for public officials, because I've attended too many events where these things play out. We must respect people's time.
Trust me, it will not happen. That's my guarantee. They will never change. I'm just telling you. So I think this is December. We're going to a new year.
I think the ship has sailed on that one. The people of Osun State knew who they were electing before they elected him.
I'm not limiting it to Osun State.
He was a dancing senator.
No, I'm not limiting it.
No, he wasn't limiting it to Osun State.
It's a general thing. You're giving 10 minutes.
It wasn't about him.
But about the dancing part, the dancing part and the singing part. Yeah. I think that the people of Osun State knew what they were getting into before they elected him. So if anyone is complaining at this point, they're wasting their time.
Let's see what we're doing. I'm just guaranteeing Coyote ahead of time, because we host events. It will not happen, at least not now, when politicians like to make an entrance. They like to make a statement. There's something about power in them that they like to show. They want to, when you're seated, you want to hear, wah, 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 come in first. That's the announcement. His Excellency.
But we've had leaders that stick to time. One of them is late former President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes.
That's one of the things you hear about him. He gets there at the right time.
Yes.
In fact,
those are outliers. He's a former military man, so what do you expect?
It's Tuesday morning. It's Tuesday morning.
Just rant. Anyway, but I think we've said what we said. The conduct of the First Lady was not good. I think it should be sorted. It should do better next time. But let's tell you what we're doing today. State of the nation. We're going to look at all sides today as far as the state of the nation is concerned. The Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress should be joining us on the program today as we x-ray from security to the economy and to other potpourri issues that we'll have to handle on the program today. And of course, there's going to be another angle to the state of the nation, where we look at the interplay of what is going on in Rivers State. It's been an avalanche, if you will. First, 17 members leaving the PDP for APC, and then 10 remaining in PDP. Council members now, as in chairman, also moving. What exactly is playing out? The governor is not saying a word. What is happening? We'll look at that as part of our State of the Nation as well in another conversation today.
And I think for the first time, Nigerians heard what is called certificate of expulsion. Yes, the PDP issuing another PDP group led by FCT Minister Nyesom Wike certificate of expulsion. So it looks like, well, the battle line has been drawn a while ago, actually. But what will this battle look like, really? We'll get into the affairs of what is meant to be the strongest opposition in Nigeria, the People's Democratic Party.
Are they still the strongest opposition?
What is meant to be?
Yeah, what is meant to be. So, well, we'll unpack all of those issues for you today on the program. But we'll take a moment now. When we return, the papers have an interesting capturing of the event of the last 24 hours. So you don't want to miss the newspaper review segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Let's bring in Mr. Adeni Fetaya, is the CEO of Megastar Magazine, a journalist joining us right here in Lagos studio. It's been a while you've been here. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I was at your sister station in Abuja.
Yeah, you've been traveling around. Let's get to New Telegraph. New Telegraph is leading. Insecurity, US-Nigeria agreed to dismantle terrorist networks, address targeted killings. There are riders as both countries established joint task force. Tinubu meets 6 northern governors behind closed doors, urges security agencies to ensure swift return of the remaining 115 children. So, record number of abductions in the history of the abductions we've seen, over 300. And they are coming out in tranches, 51st, and then 100. Gladly, we're hoping that the remaining, is it 150, or I don't know the total number now. 115 or so, but initially we had the number was about 300 or so. So whatever it is, large number of people, but we're beginning to see movements and some results. The United States is still doubling down on targeted killings of Christians, which Riley Moore has said is important to him and POTUS, the President of America, but they're also impressed with the government in some of the things that they've seen. So what do you make of it?
First and foremost, if we don't kill the issue of security, kidnapping, it will soon become an industry, just like the former president said. And I believe that the collaboration will help in this regard, especially when the President of America, the POTUS, has agreed that they are going to collaborate and destroy the network, whoever that is behind it. It's just unfortunate that some of these is it release or the children or the students that were captured, government has not said anything about those who are behind it. Were there any arrests made? Were there people that are being prosecuted? I think they should make it open so that it will serve as a deterrent. I don't know whether you people have records of those that have been maybe jailed or incarcerated as a result of being behind or mastermind some of these kidnapping. And of course, I think it's boiled down on the responsibility of the government, especially schools, since they target some remote school and all of that. They secure some of these institutions, not just school alone, and some critical infrastructure. If they can do it in oil and gas, especially in the Niger Delta, years back, that is issue of kidnapping, the expatriate and all of that, and the thing has those down now. So I think they can do the same, but collaboration with the U.S. government should be the way to go.
Well, we've not heard anything about the kidnappers. I guess perhaps they don't want to reveal it or say anything about it so that they don't compromise the remaining abductees. We don't know. Bukola?
Yes, indeed. And that's a question that we should be asking. we should also, ask why President Tinubu is saying, okay, go get the remaining children, but we're not hearing, go get the kidnappers, secure Nigeria's borders, heads should roll if I don't see results. Shouldn't we be asking that question also, Mr. Ifetayo?
Yes, it's part of the thing that we should be asking. At least they've recorded some sources, and if you can get these children, you can get those who have been abducted. I think there are people, there's a location, those are the things that I felt that government should feel Nigeria, so that we can feel safe and secure. Because it's not just a matter of go and get those children. Before you know it, you turn to an industry, and people will just think that that's one of the ways to cash out from the government, or also called the national cake, and it's not good for us.
Indeed. So how reassuring are the words of the president? How comfortable really are the people of St. Mary's Catholic School in Niger State? Just to reflect on, feel the sense of what is happening nationally as far as security is concerned from the perspective of those who are affected. But another thing that the APC-led government is, making a boast of is the role of the president in the Benin Republic foiled coup. Let's go to the Vanguard now, where the Vanguard is capturing the role of Nigeria this way. Tinubu seized Benin Republic airspace legally. That's ascribed to a Senate source. And so the writers provide some insight. Top army officers taken hostage in coup attempt released. Benin foiled coup shows Tinubu's role in West Africa's stability. That's ascribed to the presidency. ADC to FG. If you can act in Benin oversight, why not protect Nigerians? And of course, the last of the writers says, Senator Barrow hails Tinubu, says, democracy remains best option. And so Benin is just about 3 hours away from where we are. Yes. And so any threat to democracy there is also a threat to democracy. But how would you assess the president's role?
First and foremost, regional collaboration is very key, whether in trade, in security, in bilateral relationship is very key. And let's come to think of it, the population of Benin Republic is just like maybe 1/8 or 1/4, so to say, I stand to be corrected, of Nigerian population. So coming up, and also I think is the Mr. President is the chairman of ECOWAS as it stands now, and coming up to say, oh no, in terms of your challenges, we are with you. In terms of your crisis, we are with you. So it's just to show that once again, Nigeria can be referred to the giant of Africa in these instances. But the question that the ADC is asking, very germane, and if you can do all this, I think, why can't you secure our nation, our border? Why can't you secure or do something tangible that can arrest the issue of incessant kidnappings or terrorist attack, killings, and all of that? So it's a germane question, and Mr. President too needs to sit up. If you need collaboration from the neighboring countries so that they can add to whatever it is that you have, because a tree does not make a forest. So it's a good one that it shows that, yes, we can support our neighbors, we can support regional security and challenges and all of that. At least kudos to him for that. But if you can do it in Benin Republic, if you need to double or triple your effort within our nation, I think he should do that.
Because you hear the language that was used in the statement. He said with precision, Nigeria's armed forces. And it was good to hear.
Yes.
I mean, for a lot of people, it was some sort of cheery news to know that our military is not as incapacitated as they made to look in the face of banditry and terrorism. And the chairmanship of the ECOWAS heads of state, which is now in Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio, would also, of course, take some sort of credit to sort of championing and rallying people around to resolve that. But this Nigeria's front page is next. This morning, this Nigeria leads with, of course, the rescuing and the 115 Catholic students who are remaining, as the president orders security chiefs to free them. Yes, record number of kidnapping. I must mention this attack, Anambra Church attack. Police boss condemns killing in Lilu community. But you know, there's so much talk around insecurity, and rightly so, that we may have not really sat down to soak in this report that Nigeria's foreign reserve reaches $45 billion, which is the highest in 6 years. That's coming from the CBN. So, Mr. Fetayo, it would seem that when it comes to the economy, things are moving in that sense. I mean, the president promised 15% inflation by December, and we're almost there, even though there had to be lots of recalculation and rebasing and all that. But look at Nigeria's foreign reserve, $45 billion, highest in 6 years. So it looks like this government may be getting some things right with the economy.
Yes, when it comes to economy, they might be getting some things right, and it's not just what is economy without security, and what is economy when we are talking about killings. So that means we can do better if we have been able to secure our nation properly. That means investor can come. You and I will remember any small killing, kidnapping. US will usually issue an alert to their citizens, don't go to this side, don't go to that side. That alone, you know, can turn off would-be investor or foreign direct investment. So those are the things we should be looking at. If he wants to get his number, that 15% inflation, it needs to work more on the security. And of course, telling the service chief, the security chief, to free the remaining 115 Catholic children. It's not just about freeing them. What about other places that need to be secure? Arrests need to be made. People need to, you know, face the wrath of law. Those are the things that can serve as a deterrent. If not, the thing will still continue. You know, God forbid, we're hearing about the Catholic church that happened on Sunday, early morning on Sunday. Who's next?
And you know what is quite ironic? For the Kwara church attack, we saw those people on live stream. And I think one of the best things, or the only thing that government can do, is to arrest those same people that were seen on live stream and let Nigerians see them on live stream that they have been arrested. But that nothing has happened in that sense. The closest they've done was say they arrested gun runners, people who were supplying them with arms and ammunition. So clearly, it looks like there is a romance, because that's the only explanation.
Yes, because just like I said, if you said you want to get the root of the, looking at even those guys, they look tattered, not that they are the ones spending the billions or hundreds of millions they are collecting. There should be some sponsor, those who are behind them. Even those you said you arrested, those who are, you know, supplying them guns or ammunition, whatever it is. We've not seen anyone on camera. They have not been shamed publicly. They have not been trying the court of law. Those are the things that government needs to come out playing out.
We're waiting for government to tell us about the abductors. My only reading, that may sound like a bit of an excuse as a holding space, is that perhaps they don't want to tell us because the number of children that are still in captivity are a lot. So that may compromise. I don't know. This is just...
Yes, I agree, but KB is different from Anambra. Anambra is friendly from Kwara. So
okay, I understand.
Not,
for the ones that is being sorted, let's get them out. I was talking about Nigeria.
To that bit, this bit of the conversation, I recall, you know, during the Yelwata attacks, when the president visited Benue, he said, "Why have no arrests been made?" You know, he asked the leaders of the security agents right there at the meeting, and not long after that, the police, you know, Inspector General of Police told us that some arrests have been made. So why have there been
tried?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we'll find out. I think one or two persons, whether they went to court or not. I think the whole idea, what we're contemplating here, is the fact that the government is not showing enough action to deter people. In fact, whether there should be a special court to try these guys so that we just sort this out, so that this, as you said, it doesn't become it's already an industry. Let's not even go there. Mr. Adeni Fetayo, almost thank you so much, as always, for coming through, bringing us your expertise as far as the papers are concerned. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, we have a lot to unpack on the show. Mr. Felix Moka should be joining us in just a moment. He's the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress. He joins us in just a moment. Stay with us.
Back. We're joined by the National Publicity Secretary of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Mr. Felix Moka, joins us virtually on the program. Good morning, Mr. Moka. You're welcome.
Good morning, Coyote. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We're just going to get right into it. Your party is in power, so naturally all eyes are on your party and by extension the president and majority of governors and lawmakers, I should say, who have been elected on the platform of your party. The biggest conversation right now in the country is insecurity. Yes, the president met APC governors from 6 states. Yesterday, he met the governor of Edo State, he met the governor of Ekiti, Kogi, Sokoto, Kebbi states in the presidential villa. And I must ask you, Mr. Moka, seeing all of the events around insecurity, the mass abductions, the killings, and the lack of arrests, I must say, particularly for the recent events, is it in Kwara, Kebbi? You are a lawyer and you understand the importance of deterrence, the importance of ensuring that whoever does the crime does the time. What do you think is going on, Mr. Moka?
Thank you very much, Kayode. Now, insecurity is a hard subject. Anywhere for government and for those who are affected by the citizens who fall victim to these mindless violence. Now, especially insecurity that has to do with terror and banditry. These are perpetrated by the very worst of people who take delight in bringing pain and suffering upon innocent people, especially. In recent cases we're discussing, children, babies generally. So these are really, scumbags who do this. And there are people who operate and live in the shadows, who, attack defenseless citizens and then disappear into the shadows, into the forests or wherever else that they hide away. And when these events occur, Kayode, we must not forget that, the lives and the safety of the children in these recent examples is priority, is non-negotiable. You cannot do anything that really jeopardizes those children. So it's a tough one for even the very best, security people to deal with, where you have the task of bringing children home safely, and also to make arrests, knowing that if you go there with excessive violence, you may end up in fact putting in danger the very people that you have been tasked to rescue. So it's not easy, and I think that we must really be patient with our law enforcement, with our security forces, as they, rid our country of this menace. But having said that, I'm quite certain that, the people who are involved, who put their lives on the line, and as a party, we're full of, our respect and commendation for all of, our troops, security forces who go out every day to try to keep us safe. I want to, believe that they know what they're doing, and that in the fullness of time, these people will be brought to justice. Because like you said, indeed, for the crimes they've committed, they should and must be made, I think, to face the law and to have their day in court.
My reference, and I understand that the Niger case is an ongoing operation. So we'll set that aside. My reference is to the recent ones. Kwara State, the church in Eruku, where 2 people were killed, a lot of people were abducted, eventually released, but no word about the terrorists. In Kebbi State as well, students were kidnapped, released. In fact, what was said by the presidential spokesperson was, as the Nigerian forces were advancing, the terrorists were withdrawing, and then the children were rescued. So what then happened to those who were withdrawing? And I'm talking about the terrorists. What happened to them? Did they just disappear into thin air? So I'm not speaking about the ongoing operations. I'm talking about at least the Kwara, the Kebbi State cases.
Kayode, look, the response I gave to your previous question does not change, significantly. The point here is that I'm not a law enforcement person, but I imagine, even based on my own experience in life, that when people who commit these crimes, who, like I said, basically, strike where they strike and withdraw into the dens of the forests. It's not easy also for law enforcement, for the army to simply just, capture. I am quite certain, and I don't think this is something we should be commenting too much, on, that these efforts we're discussing are ongoing. When they produce results, even when arrests are made, usually these are not, necessarily subject of, immediate media review. Because, again, people who are arrested in these circumstances also have to be processed, identified, and interrogated. And, some of these things take time. Even when people, do housebreaking with, the common criminals, sometimes it takes, days, if not weeks, to get results. So I think we need to be patient. The good news is that, in some of these cases, thank God we are bringing home some of the victims, and, the idea, the president has given that marching order to, security forces to bring home everyone who is, caught in this web of, of really, really unjustifiable crime and criminality.
And to quickly follow up on that, if we consider the manner in which the Kebbi school girls were rescued, if we consider even that, the NSA had told us, had assured us just a few days ago that the St. Mary's Catholic school children would be returned, and we have seen it happen. Can Nigerians now go ahead and conclude that yet another round of ransoms have been paid if the process of rescue is not going to be made public, and by extension, kidnapping and terrorism is being emboldened in the country?
No, again, I'm not sure that I can speculate as to the modalities or the circumstances in which these releases were secured. I have not been briefed about that, and I'm not, quite frankly, competent, to be briefed in that sense about whether or not, ransom was paid. And I don't think it's safe for us to just make those conclusions. Look, but I think that, Nigerians, because of what's going on, have developed, I think, that reactionary disposition to speculate or to imagine, what's going on behind the scenes. But again, like I said, I think that, at some point, the NSA and the, responsible managers of our, security system will, come forward to give us more information about what's really going on in terms of, the processes by which, these releases were, obtained, and the efforts to bring the perpetrators to justice. But I think one thing is clear, that is the resolve of Mr. President, that, we must defeat this terror. And let me say this, that, one potent tool for combating terror anywhere in the world, whether it's in the United States, after 9/11 or, in some other theaters where this has occurred, is that those who are targeted, who are, are under attack by these, criminals, usually, they bind together, they come together, they stand together shoulder to shoulder in unity to deliver a very unequivocal message to the perpetrators that this will not be tolerated. People coming to pick our children from their schools, they are enemies of the state and enemies of the people. So we must come together to speak in one voice. So, but when I see sometimes people, maybe because of, I think this whole, social media, dimension to lifestyles today, people literally, share and circulate information in a way that suggests that some might even be, celebrating some of these things. I think we need to really calm down and understand that we are all implicated in this. This is our country. It's our only country. We have a president who is showing leadership. We have our troops who are fighting really hard. And by the way, let me comment on something I heard over your paper review, where someone was saying, I think it was the ADC, that issued statements suggesting that, look, if Nigeria can intervene in Benin to help restore democracy and law and order, that they wonder why we have not stamped out terror and banditry in our own country. Listen, when armies confront conventional armies, the rules of engagement are known. They are trained to fight those kinds of conventional warfare. Listen, terror is still a new, if you will, surge and scourge that is, confronting the world, where you fight asymmetrically, asymmetric warfare, where you don't even know who the enemy is, where, you see men who dress as women just to penetrate, civilian populations and do harm. It's not that simple. People who are embedded in communities, who live within, really ordinary communities, yet are armed and are dangerous. It's not the same. So I think we should, stop, making this false equivalence as though because, Nigeria intervened as we did commendably, heroically in Benin to restore democracy. Therefore, we should vilify them because we have, the war on terror that is still unfolding. Listen, the United States, that has the greatest army in the world, has not defeated terror everywhere it has confronted terror. It's, an ongoing, scourge, and we need to be mindful of that.
Well, it's difficult not to make comparisons, Mr. Moka. Speaking of which, let me read to you the statement of the president in which he welcomed the release of the St. Mary's Catholic School children. He says, "My directive to our security forces remains that all the students and other abducted Nigerians across the country must be rescued and brought back home safely. We must account for all the victims." Mr. President didn't say, go get the kidnappers and end this menace of terrorism. During the Yelwata attack, he asked the security agents pointedly, why have no arrests been made? And not long after that, we saw the Inspector General of Police say to Nigerians that some arrests have been made, but there have been no prosecutions. So where is the firmness that is expected in dealing with this terror on Nigerians?
You just referenced a public statement that was issued on this matter by the president. You have not referenced the directives, the order he has given, or let me say, may have given to our security operatives, direct commands to them, which may not be subject of a public statement like you have just referenced. You see, look, if your question is to suggest that maybe there's some selective directives given to rescue and not to, pursue, look, the statement you referenced is not evidence of that. And I don't think it should be, quite frankly, something that we should be discussing. Because, there's so much about security that is not, disclosed or disclosable to the public. Because you do that, you compromise sometimes, even the action you are seeking to execute. I think we need to, give the benefit of the doubt to not just Mr. President, but to, our security chiefs and, leaders and operatives who are, not sleeping at night, really fighting every moment to ensure that we are kept safe. I think that, that should be sufficient. As a public statement. It shouldn't come with all the elements of instructions or directives or commands we, the president, may have, in fact, issued to our law enforcement, operatives on this subject.
All right, Mr. Moka, I know that the issue of conversation around national security can be a bit tricky because of certain things that may not be in public. But I think the reason why Nigerians and even us are pushing to the issues around deterrent is because it's to rebuild public confidence. We can't keep seeing these strings, a series of abductions, and we're not seeing these people being brought to justice. How soon is a different matter altogether. So it is important the government gets that feedback to know that it is important we get to see who is responsible for what and how far it goes. Perhaps that's why that conversation around what's happening to the kidnappers and the abductors is quite important. And if a lot of people or Nigerians are making that request, I think it's only natural that the president or the leadership of the country looks for a way to show response to that effect.
No, I agree. I agree completely with you that ultimately, it's important that we find, arrest, and bring to justice everyone who is involved in the entire chain of terror, whether they are financing terror, whether they are in fact boots that are attacking our people. They must be brought to justice. That's something I'm sure, and I know that the president is committed to doing. But again, let me remind us, even as someone who is not trained in that tradition of law enforcement, but I can imagine that based on what we know, the information that is publicly available in terms of some of the groups that are active in these events, let's not forget that where one terror group is involved in multiple attacks and multiple kidnappings, and at any point in time, some of their members are holding some of these innocent people. The vulnerability and the sensitivity of those operations, look, I can only just imagine what it's like. Because, if you go hard in that moment where our people are in custody, these are the same people who command and control this, really, slimy, horrific events. So I think that in the judgment of our law enforcement, we must differ to them in terms of how they calibrate their, activities, their, and how they scale up their, response and pursuit of these people. If you have 100, children in the custody of the same or related, of terror organizations, and you are, putting fire on some of them. Listen, even just from watching movies, it's obvious that sometimes they also, exert pressure by, issuing threats, against those who are in their custody, because we don't know who they are, and ultimately we will know. This government is determined to,
my apologies, because of time,
and to bring them to justice.
Yes, as we wind down, perhaps is the last question on this because of time. I don't know whether it's let me put it this way. I think we had Daniel Bwala here, who also made statement close to that. But what we've also referenced and seen is the fact that there seems to be a correlation or a string of relationship between when we are approaching a major poll and a surge in insecurity. And I see it as crude politics as far as the African continent is concerned, maybe using Nigeria as a case study. Where we know what happened with Goodluck Jonathan, we know what happened with former President Muhammadu Buhari, and now we're seeing this again. So in your view, what has to be done for us to open a new... Is it that from the reading of the government, is it that we are beginning to see insecurity as a tool for some form of political agitation? Because when coincidence is excessive, the Englishman says it's deliberate.
Look, that is a very valid concern. There are many who have associated the upsurge in violence, recent violence, to again political pressures or calculations. That is unfortunate, quite frankly. And I think there are signs that maybe people want to make political capital of this season in order to affect the upcoming elections. That is really despicable. And for those who are involved, they really must be ashamed of themselves that you try to manipulate a system, game a system for political calculations to advantage. Look, if that is occurring, I think those who are involved really need to rethink. But this is really about our people. The same people any political person seeks to govern, assuming that they seek for office and get elected. It's wrong. There's no other way to describe it if that is occurring. And those who are involved should be, I think, traced if they are implicated in some of these things. I think they should really be made to face the very heavy hand of the law.
All right, Mr. Moka, quite a number of issues to unpack, but it's okay that we stay with security. I think it's good to see that all of the conversation around 2027 have tapered down a bit. I know it's still happening behind the scenes, but at least it's not right there in our faces when we have bigger issues to confront. But we have to thank you so much. I know we'll have a few more conversations before the year ends. We've been speaking with the National Publicity Secretary of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, Mr. Felix Moka. Wish you the very best, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we'll take a moment now, and when we return, recent events in Benin Republic still raising concerns. We'll speak about that in a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back. And so national security is still very much in our line of vision. And of course, this comes on the heels of Congressman Riley Moore's interaction with the National Security Advisor yesterday, when he said that if the resolutions reached following that very critical conversation are implemented, then indeed Nigeria is sure to overcome a lot of her security concerns. There's also the foiled coup attempt in Benin Republic, of course, which Nigeria played a very critical role in and is making a boast of. And so, what is responsible also for the coup contagion, particularly in the Sahelian region in West Africa? Let's have this conversation. Perhaps they're all related. And joining us on the program for this particular one is two gentlemen. Mr. Oluseyi Adeyemo is a researcher and a global affairs analyst. He's right here in our Lagos studio. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And we also have Mr. Victor Ohai, who wears many hats. Of course, is a filmmaker and, of course, is also a global affairs analyst. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start from the foiled coup in Benin Republic. Of course, it was one Nigerian, I believe Yayi, who described Benin Republic as Nigeria's 37th state, because of proximity and shared historical relations and values. And so, comparatively, because the ADC is challenging the federal government now in its response to Benin Republic, comparatively, when you look at the response of the federal government to Benin Republic and what transpired, during the Hulabalo following the Niger coup, how would you assess Nigeria's military strength and indeed its leadership role in intervening in the coup contagion in West Africa? I'll start with you, Mr. Ohai.
Okay, so thank you very much. It was Buni Yaya, I believe, the former president of Benin, who made that statement about being Nigeria's 37th. He was a man who was, I don't know, he made no pretense about, the fact that Nigeria was the dominant superpower at the time. And you recall that was when, under the leadership of President Obasanjo. Now, coming to the coup and what's happening, particularly what has transpired in the Sahelian region, and indeed for the rest in some parts of Africa, what we have, what the tendency, what is happening is almost like a circle. You recall that at independence, it was democracy all the way through. And then what happened was that the Democrats, so-called, started becoming dictators, and started abusing power. And so there were agitation among, the populace in the various countries. And then one after the other, military coups started taking place. After a point in time, we decided, okay, no more military coups. Let's come back to what the norm is, which is democracy. And then, the return to power across the continent as well. And then another round of abuse. Abuse in the sense that you have people, look at what's happening in Tanzania, where, the president there is sitting tight and, mostly in opposition. And so that is another form of dictatorship, not democracy. Uganda, Cameroon, and so many other countries where the opposition have no say whatsoever. And so the question is, so what then is the difference? What is democracy if the voice of the people doesn't matter or does not matter. And so it is agitation because the military cannot come, and I dare say will not succeed in any coup if they don't have the backing of the people, which is why Niger didn't succeed, because the people were tired, obviously. When Nigeria wanted to, apart from the fact that Nigerians are at least 54% Hausas, you know, more than 54% speak Hausa language, you know, and so, and we have, there's so much, not just historical, but filial ties between Nigerians in northern Nigeria and Niger. And so there was this outcry that, no, don't go in there, you go there, and all that were interfering in their affairs. So, but what has happened in this particular case is that, you know, one, we acted swiftly, no notice, there was not enough time for the coupists, but you will also recall that on ground, the Benin came out and were shouting, down with the regime, which means they were happy about what was happening, because Talon himself was no better than any other dictator in the other countries. And if you left him, he would probably be there for as long. But he did what other people didn't do. He quickly called on Big Brother, Nigeria, you know, to come and intervene. And so that's why we were able to go in there and do what we did. But the proprietary of, or otherwise of that, you know, legally and otherwise, that may be a further discussion. I'll just leave it at this point.
All right.
Let's bring in Mr. Ademo. I'm happy you mentioned it, because I think that sometimes we talk about the effects, cause and effects here. And as you've mentioned, the effect that, look, when these coups happen, for some reason, the people are happy, even though they know it's not the best option. They just want any other thing apart from wherever it is they want out of the system. So isn't it time for us to begin to interrogate the causes? Now, some of us have been a fan of more of HDI rather than GDP. GDP metrics can be very deceptive. Like now, the government is saying foreign reserve is good, GDP is growing, and then the lived-in experience is another conversation altogether. So where should we be navigating this conversation, Mr. Ademo?
The truth of the matter is, I am, like you, believe that over time we would always say, oh, we just want the people on seats to just leave, and whoever comes is better than that other person. And experience and history have shown that even when they come in, they're probably worse off. One, they're not properly prepared for the role because they're military and they are not trained for governance. And so at the end of the day, as Africans as we are, they also would go in and look out for themselves, you know, build their own empire, and at the end of the day, the people would always be the one that will bear the brunt at the end of the day. So the only indices is, how are the people faring? Do we have a fair dealing? Is the country truly developing? Because again, people will tell you, oh, Practice Talon is doing well as regards building infrastructure and all of that. And I've always asked this question: when you say you're building infrastructure and the people are languishing under poverty, you begin to wonder, what infrastructure are you really building? And look, let's be realistic. You can't talk down to me that I am well if I am not well. And if I'm well, I am well. So you saying this is what you're doing and the people are not feeling it directly obviously means that you're really not doing what you ought to be doing. Because you can then do a fast and say, oh, we're building this road, or we're building that, we're building that. Does it trickle down to how the people are faring? So those are the reasons why immediately the coup happened, as usual, the people came out and start to say, oh, we don't want the previous government anyways, let him leave the government. But at the end of the day, we all know that when we all settle down into the new regime, would naturally want to start, you know, them to behave well. And unfortunately, history have shown that they don't do as well or better than those they house. So it's a, like he rightly described when he started, it's been a circle, as it were, you know, where the ones who come give us a lot of promise, oh, tell us they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and every time they come in, at least up to this extent, what we're found out is whether they're in khaki, they're military, or they're Democrats, as they describe themselves, we are somewhat getting the same result from them, as it were.
I'd like us to look a bit more about the security implications of whatever is happening, because sometime in the middle of the year, there was some, reported unrest in terms of banditry on the border with Benin Republic as well. And, the ADC is asking very critical questions here of the federal government. If, you could do that for Benin Republic, Nigerians at home are not safe. So perhaps we should be asking the same question as well about this response, to the security challenge on, in the Sahel region. Either it's Burkina Faso or it's Mali. There seems to be a very present challenge of terrorism and banditry. Mr. Okai, I'd like you to answer that. And relatedly, compared to Nigeria's response to Niger, was Benin Republic easy, to intervene in? Because we didn't see the same success in terms of military action in the Niger case. Mr. Ohai.
Okay, so I just want to add something to what he said and then take on your questions. The idea behind saying that military people are not prepared, nobody is prepared for governance. If you win election, you take power. And if you check very well, in America, almost everybody has served in the military. Okay? Because that is the nature. The NYC is like military service. And so that, I think it's more a function of the system in place, that's why you have checks and balances in government or in a democracy. But when the institutions collapse, then obviously this is what you get. Now, the first part of your question, or the second part, and then you remind me about the first part again, I just forgot that. But the second part is about the response in Niger compared to Benin. Was it easy and all that? Okay, so Nigeria really wanted to go to Niger. And in any case, we have military formations along those borders. So, and even the Air Force is even closer, to what do you call it now? Niger, because Kaduna is up north, and that's where, in Benin as well, we have an Air Force base there and all that. So we have our Air Force pretty much close. We could have, it's just a matter of minutes or under an hour, and they are already there. But the facts on ground in the case of Niger, for instance, is that the people welcomed it. And so you cannot intervene. It's a sovereign country. That is what democracy is. What do the people want?
But the people welcomed that of Benin Republic
They
also.
did, but there was no time to respond. What we did was that, and what made the case of Niger different was the fact that I said we had not just what do you call it now, historical affiliation with them, our brothers in the north, but they're also filial. It might surprise you to know that there are Nigerians who are already contesting elections in Nigeria, and Nigerians who are, who have families in government in Niger. It's an open secret. It's not anything to be hidden. And so when you go to attack, it's like, say, look, you want to come and kill our people? So there was resistance also from the north. So that didn't make it easy. Plus, the response time, there was contemplation. This time, there was no contemplation. There was a note verbal, instant action, and then what you had was, the next thing, while the coup plotters were still in the station, in the broadcast, with the national broadcast station, and in the barracks where they had taken charge, the Air Force was already on ground. And then the Nigerian army moved the military from the north, the areas that are, bordering Benin, particularly, especially along northern Nigeria there, to move in immediately, So it was swift, it was clinical, and there was nothing. They never saw it coming. The Benin one never saw it coming. That's a surprise element. And that brings me to what I think the first question is, which is the issue of ADC and the rest. You wonder, and I want to refer to us to the immediate past defense minister who said, no, you can't attack Boko Haram or the bandits in the north because the Air Force cannot, because bombs cannot penetrate
Sambisa.
I think that was nonsensical as far as I'm concerned. Are you saying that the bombs cannot go through trees and all that? That argument was absurd, So it just tells you that, more of what you see is not. We have heard from our armed forces, even the ordinary soldiers, that if you want insecurity to end within 48, maybe even 24 hours, it is possible. That they have the capability, they have the might, they have all it takes. They've been on the ground. They have weighed themselves against. It's like two football teams say, look, we'll beat these guys. They're no. You understand what I'm saying? But if they have a referee to contend with, there's very little that they can do. And so they have repeatedly told us. And so you ask yourself, so it's one of several things. The willingness to end it, okay? And then, the willingness to end it really. Okay. And I think, sorry, let me just say this. Corruption is at the bane. If we have time, we'll talk about it. Because obviously there are people who are benefiting from these things being protracted.
So let's bring Ms. Adebo. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of time. Just as the conversation just got started, we're told to wrap up. So let's talk about the interplay of geopolitics around all of this. And the bad habit of our leaders in sit-tight mentality. Neighboring Cameroon has elected the 90 whatever. A very shameful situation we found ourselves. In fact, the issue around what was that called, Guinea-Bissau? It was the president that announced the coup. Yeah. So help us understand how we can manage this situation about the interplay of geopolitics. When we talk about geopolitics, sometimes I don't like to blame the people that are making it happen. How we respond is another. Is more. How should we respond to the interplay of geopolitics in the midst of all of this, in cahoots with elements that we know that are leaders of our continent?
I think I agree that we should look at the way we react, because I think we have more control over that than the way they react, because it seems and it's clear that they're set in their ways, that we will continue to have, different versions of the way they are right now across Africa, because unfortunately, I mean, when you look at the way they behave, sometimes you just wonder what exactly is wrong with them as our leaders. So we, the people, I think it's important that we are very clear of who we vote in, because I believe that we've seen an example of the fact that if we, the people, are willing, we can really change the situation. For instance, what happened in Lagos, I mean, during the last election, the OB thing, it was like Lagos was going to be taken if we had tried more, away from the party that all of us had thought that could never be voted out. And for whatever reason, in the middle of the road or towards the end of the road, we sort of cowed in, and at the end of the day, we lost it. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is we have the power as a people, because clearly we are exposed, we have knowledge, we felt the pain over and over again, and we obviously know what is right from wrong. So why are we not taking it to the point of saying, look, we don't want you people, we don't want this kind of people, these are the kind of people we want? I believe that it is possible. I believe that as a people we need to come together. And one thing that people have said over and over again that I disagree with is, oh, it is only us in the South that see things in this particular way. I disagree. I believe that we have not done well in recruiting people from the north who also think like us, because there are a lot of Nigerians across Nigeria who think like this, who feel the need for a proper change. And so we need to find a way of sort of making sure we have them on our side and have one body, because I think it is very, very wrong on our part to feel that, oh, the only people who think the way we think are the Southerners, maybe from the East Nigeria or from Southwest Nigeria. It's not true. There are Northerners who also feel and are tired of the way things have been over time. The thing we need to do right now is to find a way of knowing them, identifying them, and all of us coming together to truly take these people out, because we can't continue to have things the way they are right now, because we will never have another result with the same arrangement. And
that's as candid can get, when you consider the dynamics of the consequences of politics, the paradox of electing, democratically elected officials, and then you have the bullets change it, and in some countries they welcome the change of bullets, so which way Africa, benevolent dictator or the democratically elected government that doesn't deliver. It's clearly an ongoing conversation, but we must anchor at this point. And thank you very much, gentlemen. We've been talking with Mr. Seyi Adeyemo, researcher and global affairs analyst, and of course, Mr. Victor Ohai, a film producer and global affairs analyst as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
We'll take a moment now, and when we return, it will be time to talk politics. Is the PDP still the most vibrant opposition in Nigeria? We'll have answers to that question after this time out. Join us again.
Welcome back. Let's bring in Mr. Jacob Pele, who is the founder of TAF Africa. He joins us virtually. Mr. Pele, apologies keeping you for long. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Oh, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Jeffrey, and good morning.
I don't know why we're getting a hold back, but let's try again. Yes, okay, let me maybe go straight to the question. Again, some movements have started happening in Rivers State. The first we've seen is to the effect that the House of Assembly had endorsed President Bola Tinubu in the Harley chambers. That has gotten them a lot of flax because that's not what that chamber is for. Then they went on to, defect 17 of them, now 10 in the PDP, 17 in the APC. And then we saw another movement of councillors and I think ward chairmen or so in the local government also endorsing President Tinubu and some even defecting. What do you make of what is playing out in Rivers State?
Disgraceful. For want of a better word, disgraceful. This is political meandering. This is an absolute aberration of democracy. But beyond that, we are seeing the signal of crisis brewing again. They have made nonsense of the Supreme Court judgment that says they didn't defect. And sometimes, you see, Geoffrey, no matter how hard you try, you can hide the truth, but you cannot cover the truth forever. It is playing out the kind of dirty politics that these individuals are playing. And unfortunately, again, it is the Rivers people that are going to suffer it. We're seeing another set of trouble beginning to raise its ugly head. And I think the president must step in now, because there will be no other state of emergency. We've had too much of this nonsense, and it cannot continue that way. I thought you wanted to say something, but Geoffrey, this is unacceptable.
Right.
It is appalling. It is dirty politics.
And Mr. Epele, it's very interesting, the kind of, would I call it silence that you also get from the people, almost like they're tired of this already. This has been long drawn since December of 2023. And I must say that this defection had happened 2 years ago. So what we're seeing is maybe the same of what happened then.
Reenactment.
Exactly, because for us, we saw that. We saw the letters written, we saw them waving the flags and all of that. So for the average Rivers citizen, it's almost like they are tired. I mean, maybe they'd rather just focus on other things. And that's not good for governance if people have sort of lost touch, except, of course, if they are in support of it. But I want to ask you this very important question, Mr. Epele. We saw the Rivers State Governor, Sim Fubara, meeting with the President Tinubu, yesterday. And of course, it had to do with the politics in Rivers and governance issues. You have the ears of the governor, or I should say, you have his respect. You're someone he respects very well. If you were to sit down and advise him in terms of his political moves, some are saying that The PDP is done, and we can see that already. So how about you just join the APC officially and have some sort of smooth ride? What would your advice be to him, Mr. Pele?
Very intelligent question, but very intriguing, Kayode. Listen, I can't advise him on what political divide that he would lean to. He is a man of his own choice, a man of his own decision. Wherever he wants to go, I'm not APC, I'm not PDP, so head or tail, I don't lose. So whatever decision he decides to swing to, that's up to him. However, let me correct an impression. The impression that Rivers people are tired, we're not. The impression that Rivers people are quiet, we're not. We don't have the platform that some of them have. Thank God for the little influence that one have and the little voice that I have, but not too many people have them. So they have the money, they have bought over the media, they have the political machineries, so they can do whatever they like, but they cannot shut down an individual like me and several others who will keep speaking for the people of Rivers State and keep standing for the people of Rivers State. What they are doing right now, I don't care whoever they endorse, all right? But let them not ferment another trouble that will take us backward. The one that they have done have taken us 20 years backward. And we will not keep quiet and watch these political charlatans, take Rivers people for granted. And that's exactly what is playing out. Whatever scores that they have within their political bedroom, they should go and sort it out.
But Mr.
And
Pele,
leave us alone.
But Mr. Pele,
leave the Rivers people and our resources alone.
Mr. Pele, if I could come in here quickly, would you then be disappointed? Would the Rivers people be disappointed in Governor Fubara if he joins the APC?
Again, Kayode, you're a trained journalist and you ask very, very probing question. It is up to him. Wherever he goes, is absolutely up to him. Will Rivers people be disappointed? I don't think so. There are Rivers who are for APC. There are Rivers who are for PDP. There are Rivers who are for other political parties. Anyone and everyone has a right to make a decision for his political future. So wherever Sim goes is where he wants to go. His supporters, those who supports him, that he probably would have sought their advice, would follow him and go the direction he's going. I, J.K. Pele, and several others, we are apolitical. We don't care where anyone goes. We care how good governance will come to the people. We care about those who are planning and plotting to steal our resources. Haven't they stolen enough? Where is Abbas? Where is the money that he squandered? Why is it that he is not accountable of what he has taken from the state? Why is it that the likes of Wike and his group are not holding him accountable? Why are they quiet?
Well,
and that's what the questions that we should be asking. Like I said, I don't care the political
Pele,
divide. He chose to go. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, you meant to say Ibas or Bokete Ibas. We catch your drift. I'm just wondering if Rivers people will still have respect for Governor Fubara politically, because after the emergency, the preponderance of opinion was that he's been politically castrated. So what would be left if he defected to the All Progressives Congress in terms of political integrity and capital? But you mentioned another name that has been, perhaps the most mentioned amid the Rivers State political crisis, and that is Nyesom Wike. After the defection of the 17 lawmakers, what we saw former Governor Wike say was, it's unfortunate that they didn't consult him. What should we be making of that statement? Because the lawmakers, in all of their actions that shaped the Rivers political crisis, owed their allegiance unashamedly to him.
Bukola, one thing you must never do, either as a journalist or as a right-thinking person, is to believe politicians. They lie through their teeth. I don't believe him that he was not. Who? Haba, come on. I don't believe him that he was not consulted. What I believe is that he endorsed what they did. It is their political chase game. It is their so-called strategy that don't have energy. And we will see where it will take them. Like I said, they are free to endorse whoever they want to endorse. But I don't have any problem with that.
But if you don't, if you believe his line, how come not all the lawmakers defected? How come only 17 of them defected?
Probably they are losing grounds. They are losing grounds. There are people who are beginning to wake up to the reality of what is on ground. And I can tell you one thing, as a political analyst, they shouldn't take for granted the popularity of Siminalai. It was obvious when he came back, the kind of mammoth crowd that welcomed him and decided to stay there until he comes back. So, but again, that's not my focus. Like I said, Bukola, my greatest focus is on the people of Rivers State. And anyone that touches the people of Rivers State, anyone that touches our resources, I will shout at the rooftop, and we will ensure that they will not succeed this time. It's not a threat. We don't have the machine gun. We don't have all the resources they have. But God has given us a little voice, and we will speak both nationally and internationally. We will not allow any government to keep suffocating the people of Rivers State. We are too smart for what they are doing, and we will stand up against them. I don't care whatever Wike is doing.
My apologies, sir. You can land on that thought quickly. Just land on your thoughts so I can ask the last question on this.
Geoffrey, I don't care what Wike is doing. Wike is not the emperor of Rivers State. I don't care what the law destroyers that call themselves lawmakers are doing. Let them keep doing what they are doing, but history will judge them, whether they are for the people or against the people.
All right, Mr. Bello, we just have a minute, so let's wind down with this. For those who watch the space, know there is a brewing crisis coming. How Mr. Siminalai Fubara, the governor, will navigate it is his own battle he has to fight. Because I can tell you one of the triggers, one of the things we have seen that may cause another problem is still the same budget, because we understand from the nuances that they want to complete the State House of Assembly so they can present the budget in the Hello Chamber. But in their last sitting where they did their defection, they have adopted their present place of sitting as the official place for sitting. So that's a signal to show that there's trouble coming. But my broader question is, the issue of godfatherism, which our president was even one in Lagos State, is a big problem in Nigerian politics. That's why we see what's playing out. How do we navigate it? You can't take it away, but how do we navigate around it? 30 seconds, sir.
The only way to navigate it is call it what it is. There is no godfatherism in democracy. Godfatherism is an introduction of Nigerians and African political ideology. It will not work. For heaven's sake, Wike is not the godfather of politics in Rivers State. Where is he coming from? He is not and can never be. You cannot hold the Rivers people to their jugular and think that whatever you say must happen and whatever you didn't say must not happen. It's not going to happen. There is going to be a rising of people of peace, who are resilient, who are resilient, that will stand up and keep speaking truth to power. Let him stay as FCT minister and stay there and do whatever he needs to do in Abuja and leave Rivers State and Rivers people alone.
Mr. Jacob, that's a fine place. That's a fine place, so land your thought. We must thank you so much. It's an ongoing conversation. Rivers is always an intriguing, interesting conversation. One day, one drama, as far as Rivers is concerned. Mr. Jacob, the founder of TAF Africa, thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Geoffrey, and thank you for the good work that Channel is doing. You are one of the voices we are counting on. Please keep doing it. And thank you to John Momo.
A member of a PDP National Caretaker Committee, Mr. Okechukwu, joins us live from our Abuja studio. Good morning, sir. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you were following the conversation and touches on your party one way or the other, speaks to the FCT minister, but doesn't quite delve into the internal wranglings in the PDP naturally, because Mr. Pele is political. But let's talk about this now. So there's the back and forth. Never in my life have I heard certificate of expulsion, but last week I heard it. From the PDP. Then you had the FCT ministers group also holding their own meeting, saying that this group doesn't have a right to do this. It's been a lot of messy back and forth. And I wonder if the elders in the party, which I want to say a majority of the people who are at loggerheads, what exactly is the thinking? Is it like a fight to the finish? If I can't have it, then we're going to destroy it?
Thank you so much. I think from your words, you've really pointed out there are, anomalies and new developments in our democracy and politics in Nigeria. You said it, a certificate of expulsion. I mean, that is unknown to me, because that's the first time I'm hearing it. Those who are purportedly saying that they issue certificate of expulsion, where did they derive it from? In which law? Because before you take action, there must be statutes or laws that provided for it. When somebody was entering his political party, ab initio, did you issue him certificate of entrance that will now warrant? I have not had it. I've been in this politics for a while. I have not had where you expel somebody and you give him certificate of expulsion. What we do is that if there is a matter in the party and there's an offense somebody committed, there will be a disciplinary committee, and after that, if there is any punishment that you give to that person, then you will hear from them. I mean, these things are playing out because of people's selfish interests. They are so, desperate to have power, because all these things are playing around the fact that there was people who purportedly said that they conducted an unlawful convention in Ibadan. And that convention, as far as I'm concerned, was just a gathering of friends. I can even call it a Christmas carol, because it was not known to law. There was no any convention. So the party, as far as I'm concerned, we met the other day. There was a 104 NEC meeting, which we met and deliberated on critical issues. In fact, the former NWC, which I was a member, I was formerly a deputy national legal advisor. The tenure expired by today. So based on that, expiration of the tenure of that former NWC, there was a NEC meeting, a powerful and a well-attended 104 NEC meeting, where stakeholders, leaders of our party met, and we deliberated over some critical issues. First and foremost, there was a motion that was moved for the dissolution of that expiring NWC. So after that motion was moved,
pardon me, Mr. Sowa, which meeting was moved? Pardon me, which meeting are you referring to? Is it the one that held on Sunday? Is that the NEC meeting you're referring to?
Exactly.
Please, how is that a NEC meeting? Who are the principal party officers who presided over that meeting to be described as a NEC meeting?
Thank you. By the provision of our constitution, the person who has the constitutional duty and right to issue notices for NEC meeting is the National Secretary, as contained in the section 36 of the Constitution of the party. So it was properly issued, and that it was conveyed even with the acting national chairman, Abdulrahman Muhammad. So, and the processes and procedures were followed. There was first and foremost a meeting of the Board of Trustees. They met, and the caucus, they came up with the agenda of the NEC meeting. And we met the NEC, we were there. All of them were, even the National Organizing Secretary, Captain Bature, was there. The National Legal Advisor then, Ajibade, Kamadin Ajibade, was there. And the whole ex-official members were there, and the state chairmen, they were equally there. And we met,
And at the end of the day, there were critical decisions that were taken. One of them, which bordered on what has been causing conflict and crisis in our party, is non-conduct. There were a lot of states in the federation where congresses has not taken place, party congresses. And you know, in our party is an association, and party has structures and organs, starting from the ward level to the local government level to the state level, then to the national level. So even before we started having problems, there were almost of states in the federation, congresses have not taken place. So in that last NEC meeting, 104 NEC meeting, we now took...
one could argue that and even your party members could argue that there's enough of wrong to be distributed around the two groups of the PDP. Either you're talking about the Makinde-led and Bala Mohammed-led group or the Wike-led group. For instance, some are saying that the national secretary of the party is saying that the signature was forged, but they cannot prove that indeed the signature was forged. Now, you are saying that at this so-called NEC meeting that, party chairmen were there. How many party chairmen were there? Because the Ibadan Congress had about 3,000 PDP members that attended the Ibadan Congress. And there are reports that only 4 state chapters are in support of the Wike-led group. So it will seem as if it's a case of the minority trying to bully the majority of the PDP.
My sister, I disagree with you. Let me clarify issues and let me guide us properly. Like I mentioned that Benicia, I was a former deputy national legal advisor. So you find that we are a law-abiding party. Our party is, we should obey the rule of law and we should obey extant laws. You find that there was no convention in law. You can't put something on top of nothing and it will stand. Before that proposed national convention, there was a court judgment. Some aggrieved parties, because I was trying to explain to you, there are a lot of places in the country, especially in the southeast, where congresses have not taken place. There are processes and procedures. Before you go for national convention, you will do proper congresses in all the states of the federation, so that you now produce and generate the delegates, the authentic delegates that will appear in a national convention. So some people felt aggrieved and they were not excluded. So they now approach the Federal High Court. And the Federal High Court gave an unambiguous and clear judgment and stated that there should be no convention, that convention should be put on hold. And then even there was another judgment where the former governor of Jigawa State, Alhaji Lamido, approached the court that he was excluded from buying forms, not from participating. And the court gave another judgment saying, don't do convention, put it on hold. Go and put your house in order.
Mr. Soha.
Conduct all those congresses in all the states.
Mr. Soha.
In the southeast, Ebonyi State, Anambra State. Why I'm explaining this thing is that when somebody claimed that he did a convention, even that convention was not observed by INEC in accordance with the law. There was judgment that said don't do convention. So there was no convention.
Mr. Soha,
like
how many party chairmen were present at the NEC meeting that you're quoting? How many?
There were a lot of them. Because
did you have all the 36 states?
The national organ.
Did you have all the 36 state chairmen?
Yes, exactly. A majority of them.
Majority, not the 36
a number
states.
that will form a quorum.
Not a number that will... So you do not have the 36 state chairmen of the PDP supporting the Wike-led group? Because the report says there are only 4 chapters. There are only 4 chapters of the PDP supporting the Wike-led group.
Can you allow me to answer you? I say every NEC meeting, in the inception of before we begin any NEC meeting, the national organizing secretary, whose duty is to accredit, that's what we call accreditation. He will accredit all the members, the eligible members of the NEC. There were a lot of the state chairmen were there. Ex-official members were there. Board of Trustees members were there. NWC members were there. Before we commenced, we formed a proper quorum in that NEC meeting. And critical decisions were taken. That's what I will tell you. One of the decisions was that we should go, there were states that we approved, their caretaker committee, like in the southeast, Ebonyi State, Anambra State, Southeast Zonal caretaker committee, were all approved and ratified by NEC. And there were other states like Borno State where Congress has not taken place. We approved some of the places in the north for new congresses. Before we go for a convention, a well-organized and lawful and authentic convention that will come up. In fact, the caretaker committee, which I'm a member, we are giving 60 days.
Okay, yes, my apologies. Because of time, you know, when I listen to all sides of what is playing out this conundrum, it looks like, with the greatest sense of respect, everybody's being clever by half. There were 2 court judgments and 1 order of court. And if you're a lawyer, you know that no matter how, let me use a word for lack of a funny, anything from a court is, it has to be obeyed until it's set aside. The judgment of Justice James Omotosho is on one hand that had to do with the ones that were taken, saying the Congress should not hold, a convention should not hold based on certain things that have not been done, condition precedents to a convention. There is the Sule Lamido's case that had to do with exclusion. Then there is Akintola's court order allowing the process to go on. That came in almost on the eve. That was the Benin High Court. Now, the Supreme Court has spoken about leadership and membership of political parties and the courts not interfering. But we're seeing federal high courts and state high court assuming jurisdiction. So everybody has a valid position. All sides have a valid position if you look at what the law says as far as respecting court orders. And I think this case is on appeal. So everybody is literally grandstanding on whatever it is. Maybe the Supreme Court that will separate this fight. But I'm going somewhere with that so that the public can understand what is going on and give a clear picture. Now, one of the things that the concerned PDP had before it now formed all of this caretaker committee and all of that was, I'll read exactly what Nyesom Wike and his group wanted. No micro-zoning or presidential ticket, immediate conduct of Ekiti LGA Congress, fresh congresses in Ebonyi and Anambra, adopt Calabar South Congress, failure to comply invalidates National Convention. These were the conditions that were given in the peace effort before the National Convention. But the big picture here, for those who are watchers, Nyesom Wike, who is the leader of this group, is clearly going to work for the APC. Is it morally right for him to be dictating to the PDP on how it wants to prosecute his own process in the 2027 presidential election? I'm asking a moral question, not a legal question.
My brother, Geoffrey, let me tell you something. There are things we need to understand. Politics, you know, party politics, party is an association. If you belong to an association, you play by the rules and regulations and the constitution of the party. You are talking about court judgments, and let me explain to you. As a lawyer, there are hierarchy of courts. There are procedural law in Nigeria. When you talk about courts, you are the judgments of court. A federal high court, we are dealing with a convention that a political party wants to conduct. And INEC being an agency of the federal government that regulates political parties and guides, conduct of political parties' activities, belongs to the federal government. And a matter appeared before a federal high court. And the federal high court said, don't go for convention. And INEC, bad INEC, don't go and observe any convention. And somebody goes to a court of coordinated jurisdiction, a state high court, and obtain an expert order. Expert order is not a judgment. It's just an interim order that has expiration time of 7 days. And he told him, go and do convention. He went and he purportedly did an unlawful convention. And he has come back now to go and apply to a federal high court, asking the court to even recognize them, compel INEC, that is a federal agency, to recognize them. What an aberration, what a confusion. You don't want to obey the rule of law. You don't want to obey court judgment of the federal. You are now going to a state high court. Now coming back to that federal high court. In fact, the other day I learned that they are petitioning even the appeal court, that most of the judges should recruit them there, that they don't have confidence and trust in them. Let me tell you, like you're talking about Wike, Wike belongs to political party PDP, has said it over and over again. Everybody, if you want to support anybody in Nigeria, you can support anybody. But my political party, PDP, I belong we have not come to that point. When we go for primaries, we will now know the person we position and we present as our presidential candidate. But for me, what we are talking about now is to put their house in order, do the proper things in accordance with the established laws of Nigeria, accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, accordance with the Electoral Act and our Constitution of our party. Do proper congresses in all the states. Do proper zoning. Do our national convention. That is what we are facing right now. And not people going by impunity and doing things by their whims and caprices.
We have to anchor at this point. But interesting days ahead. I wish your party the very best. It's never been the same since 2015. We've been speaking with a member of PDP National Caretaker Committee, Mr. Okechukwu Osowa. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Whew, what a day, guys. Politics is not for the faint-hearted.
I can tell you 3 interesting days, both in River State and the national politics. I can count at least 4 court cases. No, it's getting to 6 because I follow their cases. You have to literally be deliberate about it. But we're here to tell the people what's playing out. We wish all the political parties well. That's it on the program. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye.
Yeah, the week is still young, and so it holds a lot of promise. Join us again, same time tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Karadeoki Kilu. Goodbye.